like to call the meeting of the San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Commissioners to order. Roll call, please, Debbie.
Commissioner Riley?
Here.
Commissioner Brennan? President Shane Corrali?
Present.
Commissioner Lorenz?
Here.
Commissioner Mateusz?
Here.
Great, we have a quorum, and now we'll go to item B, which is closed session for the item of the conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. So I think we're going to be going into the general manager's office for just a few minutes, and then we'll reconvene. Jim?
Thank you very much. It's an honor to recognize Debbie tonight. This is her last commissioners meeting before she gets to retire and enjoy retirement, I guess, in another state. But if I could, I would like to read a proclamation from the San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Commissioners, County of San Mateo, State of California, to honor Debbie Garrett. Proclaimed by the San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Harbor Commissioners, County of San Mateo, State of California, that whereas Debbie Garrett served as a Deputy Board Secretary, Administrative Assistant 3 at the San Mateo County Harbor District from September 2016 through January 2020. And whereas Deputy Board Secretary Debbie Garrett demonstrated on a daily basis superior professionalism, extraordinary interpersonal skills, and remarkable customer service. And whereas she skillfully and precisely managed the district office and supported regular and special board meetings, ad hoc committees, and standing committees throughout her tenure. And whereas through her technical expertise and expert knowledge with several district activities and programs, she has been a key part of the Harbor Commission's successes this year, including preparation, arrangements, and coordination of board meetings, including board agendas and packets for 12 regular meetings and 29 special meetings and 17 committee meetings in 2019. Support of the Board of Harbor Commissioners with required filings, compliance requirements, travel arrangements, reimbursements, and training, among other things. Maintained and updated the San Mateo County Harbor District website. Maintained original hard copy documents, including agendas, minutes, resolutions, filing digitally and updating the website with signed, scanned documents. Provided support to the Harbor District operations, assisting with requests for proposals and bids. Provided support to the executive staff. Renewed commercial activity permits and issued numerous event permits. Therefore, the San Mateo County Harbor Board, District Board of Harbor Commissioners, County of San Mateo, State of California, commends and thanks Debbie for her service and accomplishments at the San Mateo County Harbor District while serving as the Deputy Board Secretary, Administrative Assistant 3, signed, Virginia Shane Corrali, President.
Yay, Debbie! So Debbie, you have a public comment here at the end. I didn't want to tell you that we were doing this, so would you like to make your comment now, and then we don't? It's up to you.
Read it. Okay. I will come to the speaker here. I have a few here comments.
You can wait till the end if you want. Your choice.
No, this is
Okay.
if I can get through it. I've often pondered my 3 minutes that I would have to share, but I don't have the timer on, so. It has been my pleasure to serve the San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Commissioners as Deputy Secretary for these past 3+ years. If circumstances were different, that we hadn't bought a beautiful property in Oklahoma, because who does that, with 80 acres and ponds with a creek that runs through it, 2 sides to the Ouachita National Forest, and a house that burned down with its replacement nearly completed, I would be staying. But as you can imagine, the retirement looks pretty sweet. I applied for this job rather as a whim when I was disgruntled with my previous job, with the job title actually, and applied for this job because that seemed to be similar duties that would cross over to from my old job to this new one. It didn't take me long once I was here to realize that the administrative work, though familiar from one job to another, was different, and I likened this to driving a car. But this was a new one, like driving someone else's new car, and I didn't know how to turn on the lights, or know where the brake was, where the files were located, and all the while driving on the freeway while everyone is working around me at night while it's raining. I came home the first Friday and told my family, I think I made a mistake. but I'm so glad I stayed and endured it because it's certainly been challenging, a challenging job that keeps me on my toes with a million little things to do each day. But I wouldn't change it a bit, and I know that I'm better for it. I have enjoyed supporting this commission, and during my time here, I've had a few thoughts and highlights I wanted to recall and share with you. I've attended or been involved with a total of 109 board meetings, 41 regular meetings, 64 special meetings, and countless committee meetings. And I've worked hard to make sure that each meeting is posted within the required time, as required by the Brown Act. In doing so, I know that there are people out there watching, because if an agenda was not posted on time, then the meeting would not have been able to happen. Thanks to, and I guess I can't really name these people, but there's people that have been to these meetings in the past. One particular, due to a comment by one public comment in South City, he pointed out that I forgot an L in the word public, and so I made sure to be very careful about my editing. A horrific moment for me in South San Francisco was the second time we were there at the MSB. We were doing a presentation after public comment, and there were plasma screens all around, and I was trying feverishly to get them turned on and queued up. And if you go back to that video, you can hear the beep, 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 beep while I was trying to find the right place. It was only my second time there. And I hit the wrong button, and down came the screen, and on came the light on the dais to the commissioners. And a familiar person was standing there at the public comment, and I felt horrified because it seemed like it was maybe intentional, but it was an accident, and it actually happened a second time that night. I was really embarrassed. There was another time when the laptop during the budget presentation wanted to, once it got to Wi-Fi, it tried to update itself. And so we waited feverishly, and all the while I was hearing huffing in the background, couldn't make it go any faster. One other particular moment was when we heard words at a board meeting that I never expected to hear at a Harbor Commission meeting, starting with an A and V, and let's just say that it wasn't anvil and vessel. Some of my favorite moments, I got to photo document Romeo Pier before it was taken down, and the staff at Pillar Point Harbor took me on a boat, and I got to photo document that as well as its taking down, and that was a great moment. When Steve McGraw actually spoke, I called it the Churchill response, because he had a response to a board accusation, we'll say, and his response was powerful, but even more powerful was the staff from both Pillar Point Harbor and Oyster Point Marina that came and stood on his behalf. I know that was a favorite moment for him as well. I appreciate working with all of the staff. We have amazing staff here at admin, Oyster Point Marina and Pillar Point Harbor, and they're all really heroes, whether it's paperwork and doing Deputy Harbor Master trainings or testing, as Betty was doing today, or to some of the heroic actions you'll hear about later. We have amazing staff, and old and new. It's been great to see Chris to be in action and Jim Pruitt. I worked for some great general managers. Steve McGraw was great, interim general manager John Moran, and Jim Pruitt. You guys have a jewel in this man here. Former commissioners, I don't want to miss them. Pietro Paravano was great, Robert Bernardo as well, and I have enjoyed serving with each one of you. So there were many days as I drove to work that I literally, because the task was so big, I would pray to God to help me, literally pray that I could accomplish my task, and I would, because it just seemed like a Mount Everest. So I know it was only in His strength, not mine, because it seemed impossible. And there were many evenings at board meetings that I would silently pray for each one of you as well, as I sat at quietly my table. And as I move on to retirement and each of you come to mind, staff and commissioners, I will continue to remember you fondly in prayer. And I wish each of you blessings and true peace now and in the future.
Thank you, Debbie.
Next staff recognition.
All right. Yes, now we'd like to take this opportunity to recognize and commend the actions in Point Harbor staff and our admin staff on two extraordinary life-saving events. I'll do the first one, and our new harbor master at Pillar Point Harbor, Chris Tibby, was involved in the second. Was involved in this one, and he'll speak about the second one though. On December 26, 2019, Administrative Assistant Betty Cortez received a call from two fishermen in distress. From training provided by Safety Training Officer Deputy Harbor Master Carrie Smith, Betty Cortez was able to expertly assess and calm the situation. She gained the caller's name, location, and phone number. She then directed them to put on their life jackets. With the critical information, Betty Cortez then contacted the Pillar Point Harbor Patrol. Using the information passed by Betty, Deputy Harbor Masters Brian Duffy and Owen Moore. Owen's here with us tonight. Brian was unable to make it tonight. They were able to quickly locate the two fishermen, assisted by Harbor Master Chris Tibby. 500 yards offshore, Pillar Point, and the fishing vessel was taking on water, sinking and drifting towards the very hazardous rocks and breaking surf at Mavericks. Exercising superior seamanship, the Pillar Point Harbor Rescue Team maneuvered into position, took the sinking vessel into tow, got the flooding under control, and safely brought both fishermen and their vessel to shore. The team's immediate action, superior coordination, and expert execution prevented the loss of life and property. The initiative and professionalism exhibited by the Pillar Point Harbor Rescue Team and Administrative Assistant Betty Cortez is commended and is consistent with the highest standards of the San Mateo County Harbor District. Thank you all. Chris is going to introduce the second heroic event.
So this one was a fair bit more extreme, and I'm sure you've all seen some of the coverage. That's been excellent. The Pillar Point Harbor Rescue Team is commended for superior actions and bravery. On January 2nd, 2020, a distress call was received by the Pillar Point Harbor Patrol of an individual swept out to sea at Cowell Ranch State Beach, Half Moon Bay, California. In response, the Pillar Point Harbor Rescue Team immediately launched with Deputy Harbor Masters Duke Brower and Brian Duffy on board the Radden rescue vessel as the waterside incident commanders and rescue boat, and Deputy Harbor Masters Robert Dunn and Jacob Walding on personal rescue crafts. The team arrived on the scene within 15 minutes of the call. Deputy Harbor Master Walding immediately located the individual, lifeless and slipping below the surface, 100 yards from shore in 20-foot breaking surf. Deputy Harbor Master Walding immediately dove off the rescue craft and secured the victim in a life-saving hold, keeping her head above water. Deputy Harbor Master Dunn then raced in on his rescue craft and secured both Deputy Harbor Master Walding and the victim and successfully transported them through the surf to the beach where emergency medical personnel were waiting. The team's immediate action, superior coordination, and expert execution prevented the loss of life. The team performed with honor and humility in extremely dangerous conditions. The initiative and professionalism exhibited by the Pillar Point Harbor Rescue Team is commended and is consistent with the highest standards of the San Mateo County Harbor District.
We want to present.
Yeah.
If the commissioners could come around the
Yes.
front here, we can take some pictures as well.
Good job, you.
Do you want to get a picture with Debbie first?
Yes.
Separate? I'll take that.
I can take it, John.
I made it.
Hey,
Bobby, get out of here.
Just talking about you.
That's awesome. He's here. This is awesome, man.
We were just talking about you.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. You got it.
Thank you, Betty.
All right, as whole places.
So, is Betty
Let's get Betty Owen
and Owen,
and
yes.
Chris, come on up.
Okay.
Do we, should we do it like this?
Yeah, this is the first.
First
The
incident,
first
yeah,
incident.
yeah, chronological order there.
Okay,
Oh, wait, so this is for,
you ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Let's have a new one. That's great.
I can't believe we're like talking about quick thinking, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Right the day after Christmas.
I know.
Okay.
Now January 17th.
And Bobby's here.
All right, January
Here's Bobby.
17th.
Bobby came.
Thanks again for this, appreciate it.
Two.
Bobby Dunn and Jacob were the ones that.
All right. I've got it. You're tired still from that incident, right?
Deputy Harbor Master Bobby Dunn and
Yeah.
Jacob Walding were the ones that actually were able to move in quickly to actually rescue the victim from the high surf, from the rescue watercraft.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thanks much,
Thank
you.
Amazing.
If I could take a minute and just
Yes,
say one
I
thing
was
to
just
all of
gonna
you guys.
We'll go to the podium so we can all hear you.
Congratulations, I didn't hear about that. Good job. Good night. I'm just gonna say thanks to everybody. I'd just like to stand here and say that this was a team effort. The San Mateo County residents are the real winners in all of this. The incident command system that we work within is, in my opinion, superior to the entire nation. And I would like to thank all of the admin staff for the steady hand they've had, always supporting search and rescue and our efforts down at the harbor. And I would like to thank all of the commissioners personally. You all, when it comes time to voting on the safety gear that we need, the stuff that we need to do our jobs, you're giving us the tools that we need, and having that steady hand consistently supporting us doesn't go unnoticed. And we really appreciate you and the work that you guys are doing. And this really is a team award here, and you guys should be proud. The guys that you have working for you at the patrolman level all are capable of doing incredible things, and it's because of the training that everybody in this room supports administration and boots on the ground, so to speak. So thanks for everything. We appreciate it greatly.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't think anyone else wants to make, Betty? I want to hear your story. But I think we've kind of heard it. But if you'd like to say something, you're welcome to, but if not, don't worry about it. We'll move on. Okay.
Just want to say thank you for this, recognition. Working here at admin and being able to not just do admin work, but also be able to use the training that our deputy harbor masters and our operations has given to us, and being able to help somebody that was in distress was just, it was a blessing, and I'm very thankful that I was able to take that call. And again, I'm thankful for our harbor masters and them giving us some of that training as well, so that when a situation like that arises, we're able to help somebody else. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we will go on to item D for public comments and questions. I don't have any public comment cards, so I will now close public comment and go to commissioner comments. Ed?
I don't have any prepared comments, but I would like to just thank you guys. Since I get a few minutes, I'll just tell you a few things. I've been with the Harbor District for a long time, not as a commissioner, but just as a voter and member of the public, and going back to even the 80s. And I've seen the harbor master assistants do exactly what you guys have done, and it's just gotten better every year. And I was actually a recipient of the Harbor District help once in the mid-80s. We had sailed back from Hawaii and were in some bad weather for several days and really tired, and I broke some ribs, and we had sailed into the harbor and called you guys, and you came out and towed my boat to the harbor, to the slip. And I can tell you that the public doesn't often appreciate the fact that Pillar Point Harbor is a harbor of refuge, and we depend on you guys, because 15 minutes, number one, I don't know if the public knows, but 15 minutes to get to Cowles Beach is spectacular. And especially in those conditions, that was a brutal day.
Yeah.
Guys, really, aside from getting this award, you really should be commended for it. I know it wasn't easy. Really appreciate it.
Tom?
I do have to thank you for the wonderful work. I've been here for a couple of decades, and it's been very great to work with all of our Harbor Patrol people. I've loved being on both sides of what you do, being able to help when I can and to get help when I need it. So thank you very much. And there's a lot of things going on with the public. Talk about the boat outside the harbor. I was walking by that the other day. It's totally falling apart. There's boards falling out the bottom. The sooner we can get rid of that unfortunate eyesore, the better. And we'll come up with, I'm sure that our plans will come up with something much better.
Nancy?
Well, I just want to thank you guys as well. I'm astounded by the different kinds of work that you do here, but the life-saving rescues are just critical, and I'm so impressed with your bravery. Thank you very much.
I'm not going to say anything new except that we appreciate all the things that y'all do, so thank you, thank you. I've heard from the public a lot about the incident and how impressed people were with obviously your technical skills, your professionalism, and just your quick response. So I think that people are very, very happy about what y'all did, but more importantly, I think they feel like they're in safe hands, which I think is part of what we do, part of our mission. So I just want to thank y'all for everything that you did, especially over that holiday kind of period where, people, I think, don't realize that you're still on duty and you still take your job seriously, and, we just don't close down, and we appreciate the hard work that everyone puts in every single day, 24/7. Just a couple of other comments. I went to the Oyster Point had a lighted boat festival that I was able to attend and judge along with Commissioner Wiring, so that was fun. The other thing is, yesterday I attended a Board of Supervisors meeting because they were approving the final funding for the coastal trail from El Granada to Half Moon Bay, and it was interesting. One part of the agenda that I kind of overlooked was this drone thing that the sheriff's office did a presentation on. And of course they had their little footage of water rescue, but nothing with what y'all did, but it was interesting because that was part of their justification for a drone. But afterwards they had a little recess, and a couple of the board members in the sheriff's office basically came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, your guys did an amazing job for the rescue." And so I just want you to know that countywide it's been noticed as well. So again, I can't thank you enough, but I just want you to know that there's this recognition by the Board of Supervisors and also by the Sheriff's Office. I know that they were on site as well, right? So thank you. Okay, so then we'll go to committee updates. Okay, great, thank you. So anything for climate change resilience? These are for the standing committee?
I'll speak for both the climate change resiliency and the,
Why?
water, yeah,
Okay,
wildlife.
great.
And just basically, since this is, our first meeting of the year, and we redo the committees, well, I'm gonna wait to have our meeting next month. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
guys.
So we will be having our both committee meetings next month, and a long list of items for the agendas. And so just for folks that are watching the video, look for the agenda to come early in the month.
Okay, finance did not meet this time, we've already gotten the budget, but we will be meeting as soon as we know who the new finance committee members are. The Oyster Point Liaison Committee, we had a meeting, but I think that was reported on in December,
Reported on last
so there was no, no new meeting. The Social Media Public Outreach Committee, is there anything, Nancy?
No meeting?
Okay. Then now we're going to the ad hoc committees, the RV lot, Tom and Ed.
The RV lot will be talking to people tomorrow to get some design ideas.
Okay. Guys, you have anything to add?
We haven't met yet, so we'll,
Okay.
just gonna say.
Okay, so the office design committee, I'm gonna, I don't think that they met, and I know that, that there's going to be interviews for, potential design firms, so I'm actually going to reconstitute that committee and put, as the board president, it's my prerogative to do that. So I'd like to appoint Commissioner Ryering and Commissioner Matoush to that committee, because I think at this time they will serve the district very well.
I'm so sorry, President Chiancarelli, I was hearing voices down the hall and wanted to see, so I missed what you've said. I'm sorry, would you mind restating?
Sure,
what I
I'm
just-
gonna be reconstituting or repopulating the office design committee to include Commissioner Ryering and Commissioner Matoush.
Okay, great.
So now we'll go to item E for consent. Is
Did you
there?
get the public comment? There's one regarding the office.
Oh,
design.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, Dan Haggerty. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Yeah, I'm here, I'd just like to see an update on what is proposed. I'm assuming that design committee is regarding the, what the community calls the post office lot, which you just recently acquired. That is the office that you're talking about, correct?
We can't really engage in the conversation, but I don't know, Jim, if you, we have something on the agenda later.
That's where we're planning on building
Yes.
the new district office, yes.
So I'd like to know the status of it, and I'd like to give some comments, the community's desire of what they'd like to see this location. So, can you give me any information about the status of the design? Have you hired an architect yet? Where is the district?
The next step will be hiring a design firm. And
Pardon?
the next step is hiring a design firm, and there has not been a design chosen or specifications decided yet. There'll be opportunities for you to fully engage in that design.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take this opportunity, I'd like to take this opportunity to just let you know that, I'm sure all of you already know, that property has been a prized property of the community for a number of years. You probably know the history, that the community wanted to purchase it, and we were outbid. It's very important that whatever's built in that property actually serves the community. It keeps our downtown El Granada is just a one-block strip. And it's very important that that has a retail element on the ground level, which would give a reason for the community to come out of their houses, walk down, enjoy the one-block strip, and to use it. And we want to see a large open corner at that property. to essentially create a town center with benches, a place for people to gather, since it is the town center. So I look forward to working with you further. And, but I would like the commission to know that that's extremely important to the community. Just having a Harbor Commission office at that location really does not make sense for the community. That's zoned neighborhood commercial, so it really should serve the community. And I look forward to working with you in the future.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we're on item E, for the consent calendar. Does anyone want to pull off any items?
Yes, I'd like to pull 1, 7, and 10.
1, 7, and 10, okay. So is there a motion to approve the consent calendar for items 2 through 6, number 8, number 9, and number 11?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mateusz,
Aye.
Commissioner Lennis,
Aye.
President Shankarelli,
Aye.
Commissioner Barney.
Aye.
The motion carries. So, we are starting the discussion portion of the agenda, but I am going to move the business parts of this meeting or the agenda to the front. So Ed, you pulled off the consent calendar item for bills and claims. If you'd like to speak on that, this would be the time.
Give me a second to find it here.
Okay.
It's item 1.
Yeah. Here it is. Thanks, Tom. So I just wanted to point out a few things from the, if you have the attachments, attachment number 2, page 16, where it says, we have a little chart here with legal fees and for the fiscal year 2011 to 2020. And just like to point out that for the year 2014 to 2018, our legal fees were $400,000 a year roughly. And the last year, 2019, 2020, which fiscal year hasn't completely ended, I'd like to note that the legal fees were under $110,000 for the year. That was under the leadership of Commissioner Brennan and myself. And I'm hoping that as we continue into 2020, that we keep the legal fees down. But that was it.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the bills and claims?
I'll move to approve it.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Mateusz,
Aye.
Commissioner Lennis,
Aye.
Commissioner Barney,
Aye.
President Shankarelli.
Aye, that motion carries. Okay, so I just want to make sure, item 10, which is another item that deals with a grant, which is regarding the California Division of Boating and Waterways surrendered abandoned vessel exchange grant, financial assistance for demolition of abandoned vessels, marine debris, and vessel turn-in program. Ed, you removed this.
Yeah, I just wanted to point this out. A lot of times these kind of items, you know, we have this thick binder with a lot of text in it, and the public generally doesn't want to wade through all of this. But I would like to point out and thank you, John, and our harbor master at Oyster Point for doing this work. I think you had 13 vessels that are gonna be gotten rid of over this period of time. And when we get the funding, I'm sure we will get it, because we looked at the application, it's great. And I do have a question. So once those 13 are gone, how many more do you think we're gonna have? Because we do this every year.
Regretfully, I can't answer that. We, partly because of the high cost of living shoreside. Regretfully, many people are opting to try to move into a vessel as a cheaper alternative, not realizing the substantial costs associated with professional upkeep and safe upkeep, environmentally sound upkeep of vessels, and other marinas closing and restricting their ability to anchor in other areas within the bay. Some are choosing to come to our facilities, and we are, tasked with the responsibility of ensuring that the environment is protected, and that the lives of these people that don't realize the dangers of living on the vessels in strong storms. We have strong storms forecasted for tomorrow, and unfortunately, in these strong storms, with the ground tackle, the anchor rode and anchor that often is undersized for the vessels, they break loose and end up on shore, and we end up having to have them demolished. Fortunately, the Division Board of Waterways does offer the opportunity for public entities like ourselves to apply for grants to allow people that realize they can't afford vessels to turn the vessels into us to have destroyed, or those that abandon the vessels, can't keep them up properly, for us to be able to go through legal process to gain ownership and then have them destroyed, and Division Board of Waterways does reimburse us for those costs.
Well, I pulled it because I wanted to hear this, and just to say thank you to you and Jim for the work, because it's hidden in this document. We really appreciate it.
And I'd be remiss without mentioning Kenya, our administrative person,
Right.
Kenya, that really works hard on administration for these grants. And actually, when we do, on occasion, run out of monies for these annual grants, or we have surplus, we share with other public entities, and Kenya leads the charge with that.
Well, thank you.
Any other comments? Would you like to make a motion to approve resolution, or adopt resolution 2002?
I'll make a motion to adopt 2002.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Okay, there's no discussion, roll call please, Debbie.
Commissioner Rennet,
Aye.
President Shankarelli,
Aye.
Commissioner Bergen,
Aye.
Commissioner Mateusz.
Aye.
Great, the motion carries. So we're now at the discussion section of the.
I have one more, so.
Oh, yeah, but I'm gonna do the business, then we have a
Okay,
whole
you do
other
this
thing,
last.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we have, we're at the discussion section, and we're at item number 12, which is to report the, to do a reportable item from closed session. So Tricia?
Right, so there was a closed session tonight because, as you may recall, in 2018, the district received 2 letters to switch from an at-large election government body to a by-district body. There's a provision in the code that's kind of a safe harbor if you begin the process to transition to district-based elections within that time, you can't be sued, but it also then provides a way for the potential plaintiffs to get paid their attorney's fees. So the board today voted by a vote of 4-0, to approve payment of the attorney's fees, which is within the cap that is set within the California Voting Rights Act.
Okay. Thank you. And now we're on to item 13, which is the fiscal year 2018-19 audited basic financial statements. Julie?
San Mateo County Harbor District Independent Auditor Mason Associates has submitted their audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2019. And with us this evening is David Albee, who will be presenting those financial statements. I'd like to give a shout out to the wonderful finance department at the district. Boomer and his staff have done an excellent job, and David will continue to provide some information about what a great job.
Great.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is David Albee. I'm the audit partner at Mason Associates, and we are your independent external auditor. And we have for you today your basic financial statements for the year ending June 30, 2019 for your review. And then the smaller document is the memorandum on internal control, also known as the management letter. So starting with the basic financial statements. When we come in and do our audit, we do what's called a risk assessment approach in audit. We do a brainstorming session before we even come to your office with the whole audit team, and we look line by line through your financials, and we discuss from the associate right out of college up to the partner where we think the risks are. And we have to mitigate those risks in order to get comfort with the financials. And that mitigation becomes our audit plan. And our audit plan is a living document. As information comes and goes and our understanding of the internal workings of the district changes, our audit plan morphs to that. So during our interim phase of our audit, we look at segregation of duties. We want to make sure that there's no one person can initiate a transaction all the way through the process. Because if you have somebody that's collecting cash receipts, not that you guys really collect cash receipts up front, and is recording the revenue in the financials, there's a potential for misappropriation there. So based on the internal control environment, that tells us as auditors how much testing we have to do with the final balances. And in testing the balances, we have different approaches. We do an analytical review where we look at last year's over current years and ask questions that staff answer. We also send out confirmations to your banks, your attorneys, to make sure that all the assets and liabilities are recorded correctly, and some other things. So back to the report, that's kind of what we do. Technically, the only pages of this report that my firm owns are the audit opinions, starting on page 1. And I'm pleased to say that we gave you an unmodified audit opinion. That's the highest level of assurance that a CPA firm can give an entity, so congratulations, you passed your audit. And this year, a couple of government accounting standards board pronouncements came into effect, but none affected the district, so that makes it easier for us this year. Next year, we have a couple other ones that might change things. Just a really quick highlight, your net position increased by $2 million, about 5% over last year, so that's good news. So the second document is the memorandum on internal controls, and I'm pleased to say that it's thin. So that's a good thing when there's not a lot of things that the auditor wants to tell you. So there's 3 categories that we have to disclose to you. Material weaknesses, so that means something material can flow through the internal controls of the district and not get caught. Really bad. We have none of those. Significant deficiencies, something significant can flow through the internal controls and not got none of those. And the other is just a catch-all other matters. And the only thing we have in that section is just to keep you up to date on what's coming down the pipeline in terms of new audit pronouncements. I think we go out to 2021 in those GASB pronouncements. The second half of this document is the required communication, and that's just boilerplate language saying that we had no disagreements with management, no unusual items encountered during our audit, and everything went smooth. And with that, I'd like to thank Julie and Boomer and all your finance staff. You guys have a great team on your hands. I don't know if any questions you might have.
Any questions? Julie, do you have any comments that you want to make?
I already made comments. The reason for that $2 million increase was primarily because of a $1.3 million purchase of land, and our property tax was grew about $900,000 this past year, so those were the primary reasons for that.
Okay. Any questions? Can I just ask you one quick question, David? So I was looking at page 13 of 13, which has the pie chart, the first pie chart. and I read, I didn't see, well, so on the right side of the pie chart, would those be classified as also enterprise funds? Because we are, an enterprise district as well.
I don't have the same page number.
Oh, I'm
Page
sorry, it's
seven.
page
Page
7,
seven.
I'm sorry, page 7, yeah. It's the one with the blue pie charts. And then I guess,
So I'm sorry, what's the question?
yeah, so the information on the right-hand side, miscellaneous, birth rentals, recreational vehicles, rents and concessions, et cetera, and I know the difference between operating and non-operating, but we're an enterprise district as well. Would those be considered enterprise enterprise fund numbers?
Yes, so in total, you're a single fund enterprise, that's the way it
Yes.
be. And then we break out the supplemental in the back between the different harbors and administration. So yes, that is appropriate that those are, I believe, shown as non-operating, but
Yes.
still under the umbrella of a single enterprise fund.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. I mean, is that, I guess non-operating funds would, I mean, because they're not necessarily defined as enterprise funds.
It has nothing to do with really enterprise fund, it's more generally accepted accounting principles, how we have to show it on the financials.
Okay.
So that you are within the scope of that as showing that down below as not.
Okay, great. I mean, this is just for my own, how I kind of categorize things, because the enterprise fund and non-enterprise funds have been kind of an issue, not just since I've been on this board, but even before in grand jury reports as well. So I just wanted to make sure that I was interpreting this the correct way. Okay, any other?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out for our viewers that roughly 61%, 62% of our income comes from property taxes. It didn't change that much from one year to the next. And the other piece of the pie that's a big chunk of it is our birthing fees and dockage. And that constitutes roughly 88% of the district's income.
Thanks. Any other comments? Okay, then we'll just receive this. Thank you, Julie. Can you please give the finance team a huge shout out and thank you as well?
Yes.
And thank you, David.
Great, thank you for your time.
Thanks. Okay, so item number 14, which is the SMCHD Administration Building Lease Renewal. Jim?
It's good evening. We're coming up on the last option on our current lease to extend the lease one more year through May to the 31st, 2021, and that'll be the end of the lease. And we're looking for authorization to enter into that 1 year extension to get us through the 21. We're also looking at renegotiating with the property owner to seek another three 12-month terms to negotiate. So pending moving into the new administration building when it does get built, and looking at timing and construction times, 3 years out should be, that pushes us out to 4 years, and that should be sufficient time to make sure we get all the permitting and everything done with our admin building to be able to move in. The original lease here was for a 3-year term, plus those extensions. Those are not coming to an end, with only one left for this year. And then we need to look at, or recommend we look at 3 new 12-month extensions.
Okay, is there a motion to authorize the general manager to exercise the third option to extend the lease from June 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021, and negotiate 3 new 12-month periods beginning on June 1st, 2021 for the years 2021/22, 2022/23, and 2023/24.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll open it up for discussion.
I have a question. Are each of those extensions at our option, solely at our option?
Yes, that would be
Thank
the
you.
idea.
Tom?
Just anxious to get our building underway and leave this, go into something we own.
No, okay. I have no comments either. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Bramy,
Aye.
President Shankarelli,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz.
Aye.
The motion carries. And now we're on item 15, notice of violation, Pillar Point Harbor Recreational Vehicle Park. Jim, and I know I have a public comment too for this.
On December 11th, 2019, we received a notice of violation issued by the County of San Mateo requiring the district to cease RV operations on board Pillar Point Harbor. And to clarify, we're talking about the RV lot that's on the harbor itself and not the leased property to KN Properties. So this is the one on our harbor. Also, the crab pots are also stored on that, temporarily stored on that lot. That's also part of the issue with that. And then our ordinance for vehicle park ordinance is out of date, and we'll have to come back at a later date to address that. We received the notice of violation. We're operating a RV park in a parking lot, which is a violation of our alleged violations of section 62 and 65, 62, 65, and 62, 67 of the zoning regulations, which requires us to operate it as a vehicle parking lot and not as a storage yard and or an RV lot. The original compliance date for the NOV to remove everything was January 10th, 2020. I'm working with the county. They've extended that compliance extension to March 1st, 2020. We've been operating the park on board Pillar Point Harbor for several decades. It is operated under the authority of the Ordinance Code 3.40 and managed by Pillar Point Harbor Master. The annual revenue from the RV park was $98,135 in fiscal year 2017 and 18, and $86,193 in fiscal year 2018 and 19.
So I just want to make clear that these are county ordinances, not our ordinances, right?
County zoning
Yes,
ordinance.
correct.
The RV park does not have any hookups for electrical, sewage, or water. It also lacks a restroom and shower facility within the RV park area itself. At a minimum, all utilities and possibly a restroom facility would have to be obtained prior to seeking a permit to operate or reestablish that RV park in under the Coastside Commercial Recreational District.
Okay. Okay, I do have a public comment for this item, Dan Haggerty. Thank you, Dan.
Evening, Commissioners. Dan Haggerty, Albernata, resident 31 years. And in those 31 years, I have seen, witnessed, and socialized with a number of these visitors that use this lot that you are proposing to close. I want to urge you to not close it. It's a very important visitor serving facility. Whatever ordinance, notice of violation, you know, this place has been here for as ever long as I've been here. I don't know exactly when it was opened, but you know, I know it's used, it's needed, it's a benefit for the visitors, the fishermen. So let's not close it. Let's figure out a way to keep it open. Now, some of these items that were brought up as reasons to close it, not having hookups, not having power. These are RVs, they're fully self-contained. So it's irrelevant. Now, the layout, okay, where they are now really doesn't block the views from the community, from Highway 1, because the area is set down below the roads. It's actually a perfect layout. And I'm certain that originally it was designed this way to provide the maximum amount of visitors to use it. I have quickly read something from the Coastal Commission regarding it, and I was laughing to myself. It was clear that the way it was written is that somebody somewhere at the top doesn't want this there anymore. And I'd like to really find out what's really driving this. And I think part of it is we all know that there's a proposal for a RV lot across the street, across Capistrano Road, which does not make sense. It would block the views. It would cause a lot of pedestrian traffic crossing Capistrano Road at the intersection there at Billport Harbor Boulevard, which is already a very busy intersection. So let's come up with some intelligent ideas. I know you can do it. I have confidence in this commission. To solve the problems, work with the County of San Mateo, get a variance, keep it open for the people, please.
Thank you. Okay, so, to start the discussion, can someone make a motion, please, to authorize the district manager to cease further operation of the Pillar Point Harbor Recreational Vehicle Park effective March 1st, 2020, and issue notice to vacate to each of the current owners of recreational vehicles currently occupying Pillar Point Harbor in El Granada, California.
So moved.
Is there a second? This is to get the discussion started.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
I'll wait for a second.
Oh, she second. Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
I'd like
Tom.
your thoughts
Okay,
first.
Tom.
I was in utter shock when I saw this. This has become so used, and I mean, people actually plan their entire vacations now around coming to the coast and staying there. In the summer, they're getting away from 100-degree heat and enjoying 50, 60 degrees. Crab season is out, you can't find a place to park there in crab season. If there's a good salmon bite, people want to come over and not have to drive home 50, 60, 100 miles. So besides the motion, I'm absolutely supportive of the board wishing to seek a CDP to resume the Pillar Point Harbor Recreational Vehicle Park on board Pillar Point Harbor and authorize the general manager to take action to seek and obtain all necessary permits and storage for crab pots, related fishing gear, but mainly the RVs. We've got to get, can't be blocking people, particularly when we look at Coastal Commission is so involved in saying we've got to have affordable housing. This flies in absolutely the face of that. I can't believe the county would come up with something like this. So as a member of the public said, something's pushing this from a bad direction. The sooner we can get this legally permitted, I can't do enough to support that.
Well said.
Do you have any comments?
No, I agree completely.
You want me to make comments?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question, Jim. We have basically a 3-month period, that, like a little window where.
Yes, ma'am.
So, because I agree with what Tom is saying, and I think given the situation with RVs, having, it's just all over, probably all over the state with the need for housing, and for some, this is people's homes. So during this 3-month period, before we have to do anything, I mean, I agree, let's try to seek a CDP, et cetera, but I don't think we're gonna be able to do that in a 3-month period. What can we do in a 3-month period to kind of, I don't even know if slowing down the process is the right way to say it, or can we do something by showing the Board of Supervisors that we intend to do this to I don't know if you wanna call it legalize it, whatever it is, that we are trying to contribute our small part to ensure that, you know, the public is taken care of. I mean, there's obviously revenue money involved with this too, but what can we do in the 3-month period to kind of slow down this process?
I did try to seek an extension through the summertime,
Yeah,
because,
through June,
through June, because commissioners are right, people plan their vacations.
yeah.
They're planning them now to come to Delaware. But the commission, or the county came back, and March 1st was their latest deadline they could work with us.
And did they say why? I mean, this has been like this for several decades. So why now? I mean, I'm not going to speculate what the motive is of the Coastal Commission, but did the county say why they were timing it this way right now? And did they say why they would give us a 3-month extension versus a 6-month extension?
Beyond that was brought to their attention, and so they came out and investigated.
Okay.
We did have some RVs that were permanent.
Yes.
They were beyond their limited stays, and they clearly don't move, so they have to be pumping out somewhere. That really brought to their attention. So their extension to March 1st still makes us, we still have requirements to comply with. If the trailers have to be, have to go get pumped out on a regular basis and rotate through, nothing permanent. They have to be mobile.
And so the staff who has to kind of maintain and manage this area, I mean, what kind of feedback are you hearing from them, if any?
From the current residents on board?
No, our staff, the harbor master's office.
Not positive and not negative.
Okay,
It's just part of the routine.
okay, great. Okay, that's all I have for now.
The code violation stated that section 6265 designates the general use of this property as an area intended primarily for commercial recreation. So that seems like the really important piece, that if we do go ahead and allow vehicles, that needs to be the use, primarily for commercial use.
If we go get a CDP, our current designation is a parking lot. And if we want to change that designation, we have to go back to the county and get that permit.
Right, which is the reason that the alternative scenario
Yeah,
is.
so I added that
page
alternative
15
scenario
yeah.
to if the board wishes to continue with the RV lot, to make that motion also, to have me look into getting a
Or we can make a new motion on that. Ed?
Well, I get to be the dissenting voice in all of this. So, number one, just to be clear, we're not talking about affordable housing. This was mentioned a few times by several of the commissioners. This is not affordable housing we're talking about. We're talking about recreational vehicles. That's number one. Number two, the idea that having recreational vehicles there without facilities is not a problem. Sorry to dissent with you, Dan, but it is a problem. Surfrider Foundation, of which I work with at their water quality lab, we've been working for years trying to understand what's going on with the Capistrano outfall. That's the storm drain that drains in front of the Half Moon Bay Brewing Company. Well, we get spikes of high bacterial counts every once in a while, and we know for a fact that on some occasions they come from that lot where residents have just dumped their sewage into the storm drain that's in that area. So it is a problem, and if the commission decides that they want to put an RV lot there, we would have to take and put facilities there. It's not fair to the residents, and it wouldn't be fair to the public. So that's number two. Number three, we're a harbor district. We're not an RV district. We have an RV lot on the south side. So just to be clear, the lot that we're talking about is on the corner. It's on the southeast corner of Highway 1 with Capistrano and Highway 1. So just the south side of the intersection there on the harbor side. So we have an RV lot that's run by Can Properties on the south side, and then there's a proposed RV lot on what will be the north side of the lot that we're talking about now. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but it's seeming like that's going to be a potential RV place for the public to go to. So the Harbor District shouldn't have to build an RV lot for folks that want to be there. The other point is that we have a traffic problem, but we also have a parking problem. If any given day where it's crab fishing season or salmon season, there's cars with trailers parked up and down the highway. That lot could be used for that, for public parking for all the recreational folks that come on a day-to-day basis to our harbor. So I'm not in agreement with this at all.
I have a comment to your comment, because I actually
Yeah.
agree with you on some of
Yeah,
this, especially from I didn't realize about the water thing as much, but during this 3-month period also, Jim, I have seen these kinds of scenarios with the RV parking situation in areas within San Mateo County where it has, the communities are concerned about pollution, human waste, trash, and I definitely agree with you about the water quality, because I've seen it on the bay side near Cooley Landing, for example. That's an issue. So, and then the other thing is, the other piece of this is a lot of them are pretty close together, and so, fires possibly, if there's not a space between them. I know that in different areas, if there's RV parking or overnight parking, I think some fire departments, fire districts, they're asking the cities to help them with, having enough space so that there's not a conflagration if there's a fire, kind of thing. So there are real, and I get it, because I'm in agreement with you. I think there are real issues for safety and the water quality issue, because I've seen it on the bay side as well. How can we address that?
For the next 3 months?
We can't, I know that.
No, they're gonna be required to move and pump out.
Okay,
If not every night, every other night. Or within every 48 hours.
okay.
To point out a few more things. So another thing I'd like to point out is that this is a legacy problem for the district. I've been in the area for quite a long time, and in the early days, the harbor we didn't have the population usage of that lot, so it really wasn't that big of a problem. The situation's completely changed now. There are a lot more people coming to the coast side for recreation, and that area represents something that will provide safe parking for the public rather than an unpermitted RV lot.
And as I said, that was what got their attention, I believe, is when they did make their visits, they did see some trailers that weren't movable.
Right, they're like more permanent.
They're permanent,
Yeah.
and where are they pumping to?
Yeah.
I don't have any hard facts that they are pumping, but the question has arisen.
If we follow through with this motion tonight, allowing you to get the RVs that are currently there to vacate, it seems like the subject merits more conversation in terms of where we go next.
Well, okay, I'm going to piggyback off of that, because the alternative that you've presented to us, Jim, could be a future agenda item,
Most definitely.
right? And so, we still have 3 months. That's why I asked you what we could do in 3 months, research or whatever, and actually address Ed's concerns, because I have some of those concerns as well from a safety perspective, and water quality for sure, right? So, if this motion were to fail, would the board be okay with putting something else, like the alternative scenario, or an item that the general manager comes up with on next month's agenda, so that we can have a more detailed discussion.
Well, I for one have already stated with the motion that I would advise seeking the CDP and do what we have to do. And if that involves getting pump outs, electrical, water, I can't disagree with the county, they got their rules, but
Right.
for 20 years, they've been using the bathroom and the showers at, walking 120 yards. So that's something, if they insist on a bathroom, okay, we talk to Department of Boating and Waterways, we launch vessels, and we will get financial assistance with that. As a point of clarification, with what Commissioner Lorena said, there is plenty of parking for the public. There's a number of double lots, there's single lots, and plenty of overflow vehicles at all times. I've never been there that I couldn't find a parking place. We have a fair amount of parking there for trailers on the uphill side, the RVs down below. We've got several rows of just single line parking. So there is going to be parking for people, and we're not crowding out the public by saying, hey, there's a few RVs there. So I'd really like to see us move forward with the CDP that would allow recreation in this area. As pointed out by a member of the public, this will be the only place where you're not going to be offending the view. The RVs are basically hidden from the highway. It's not like we're going to look the other direction and see nothing but a sea of an RV lot with occasional people walking around. So along with my motion, I'd like to amend it to say not only what we've said in the beginning, but
Wait, before
advise
you
that
amend your motion, can I ask a question really quickly?
ask
I mean, actually, it's for Jim. If we didn't vote on this, what happens?
What portion?
On Tom's original motion,
To close the RV lot?
yes. If we didn't do that, we'd be in violation of the county ordinance, correct?
Starting March 1st.
First, right, and then,
It delays my ability to provide written notice to the current occupants another month.
and so would the county then say, or give eviction? I mean, what would they, I'm just curious, because I
No, the
don't.
county will start issuing civil penalties towards the harbor commission, or the harbor district.
The harbor district or the people who are in the
Harbor district.
Okay, got it, okay.
So we'll start recouping our amassing daily penalties.
Okay, do you want to amend your motion then? Sorry, I just wanted to clarify, I wanted him to clarify my question with your first motion.
Okay. My motion is to authorize the general district manager to cease further operation of Pillar Point Harbor Recreational Vehicle Park effective March 1st, 2020, and issue notice to vacate each of the current owners of recreational vehicles currently occupying Pillar Point Harbor and El Granada. Further, the general manager is authorized to take action to seek and obtain all necessary permits for temporary storage of crab pots and related fishing gear during the crab fishing season in parking lot C2 on board Pillar Point Harbor, and to authorize to seek a CDP to resume the Pillar Point Harbor Recreational Vehicle Park on board Pillar Point Harbor. Authorize the general manager to take action to seek and obtain all necessary permits to reestablish the Pillar Point Harbor Recreational Vehicle Park on board Pillar Point Harbor.
Is there a second? Any okay. I mean, we can discuss the motion if we have a second. I mean, that doesn't mean we're necessarily voting for the motion. So if you want to make a second, then we can open it up for discussion. I'll second it so we can open it up for discussion. Ed, do you have anything to say?
No, I'm fine.
So the tricky part for me is about seeking the CDP to resume recreational vehicle park. Just, I feel like the board I need more information on what that would look like. You know, how much of that lot would be devoted or dedicated to recreational vehicle, or, you know, RV parking, you know, and Jim, I don't know what kinds of things you might need us to look at.
So Virginia, I'd like to make a comment on that.
Well, I think that also, this just authorizes the general manager to look into this, because we're not approving a plan to build the pump outs or anything else. We've just gotta see what can we do with our current situation as of the end of this vote.
So seeking a CDP would be the opportunity to look at a plan.
And it's not something we're gonna go to the counter and get.
Right.
That'd be a long, involved process, and the general manager will be reporting to us as milestones are achieved.
Okay.
Ed?
Just a point of clarification, what we're talking about with respect to a CDP is that it's a process that the Coastal Commission has where we'll ask for a permit to do this, and we will be required to bring in the public.
Correct.
To discuss it. And so those that are in favor of this can say their piece, and those that, like myself, that think it's a bad idea can come to the table and make their point that way. And it will be up to us and the Coastal Commission, because we are in the coastal zone, to make a determination whether it's a go or not. And that process allows us to make our case for whatever it is we want to do and go back and forth and come up with something that both the Coastal Commission and the public can live with.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other comment? Do you have any other? So, I have a question. So if we were, I mean, it sounds like if we don't do this right now, we're gonna be in violation as of March 1st, 2020, right?
If we don't approve it tonight, my biggest concern is that we're going that direction, but I won't be able to get that written notice
Right, which I think is
to
fair.
the public,
for
which I think is
trade
very
notice.
important to do
Yeah.
this month, and not wait till the end of February to do it.
Yes.
So I wanna give them that time,
Yeah,
and then comply with the March 1st deadline. And then if the board wants to give me the authority to consider a CDP, develop that plan of seeking that CDP and what's gonna be required to submit a plan to the Coastal Commission, because we'll have to develop a full plan, or a suggested plan before we present it.
so so this is, a question regarding that alternative with the CDP, plan situation. If we only voted, we could put this on a future agenda item in February to discuss what the plan would be and not have to vote on this alternative today, and then just vote on Tom's original motion, which he'd probably have to redo anyway, because he amended his motion with the CDP portion. But if we were to comply with the county law today and give the appropriate notice to the tenant, which I think is fair to them to give them time. Can we put this CDP item or alternative on next month's agenda so that we can actually discuss this? Would that help you, Nancy?
No, I
Are you-
feel, from what Ed said, it's voting on seeking the CDP would then would give staff the opportunity to look into what would be involved, would give us the opportunity to look at the possibilities, and give the public an opportunity to come and talk about it.
Okay,
So
but
I'm
I was-
good with his
Okay,
position.
okay, perfect. I'm just trying to, okay, I get it. I misinterpreted. Then I was thinking that if we needed more time to give input or whatever.
But I
it
just
is.
wanna clarify too, there's two aspects of the CDP. One's for the crab pot and fishing
Yes,
gear
and the
storage
other one is for the
during fishing
RV.
seasons, and then the other one's for the RV.
Yes.
I'd like to separate those
Yeah.
out.
Yes,
Because I think one's gonna be much smoother than the other.
okay,
And I'd have one more comment.
sure.
Just
Okay.
related to all of this, is that one of the platforms that I've been presenting over the years is that the district, we've been doing things like this a lot. Something comes before us and we go, oh, that's a great idea, we're gonna do it. And we don't do it as an overall plan for what we wanna do with our properties.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity to do that now because we've been working on exactly that. And so my feeling is we need to take this up as part of the general plan, not this piece by piecemeal thing that we're doing.
Okay,
It really belongs there as planning for what we want to do with the entire harbor.
okay, Tom?
Well, that part I agree with, the general plan, to come into something we hadn't considered because the RVs have been staying there so long. But then I'd like to bring up that when you talk about spikes possibly at the creek by Half Moon Bay Brewing, personally I see a bit of a disconnect between the RVs that stay in our lot and somebody that's gonna drive over to the creek and dump. You drive on that little Capistrano Road, there's a number of RVs that are parked there at various times. And I don't know for a fact, but I would guess that those would be more the culprits and the people that are ensconced coming and going and from Pillar Point Harbor. So I don't think there's a nexus between the RVs at Pillar Point Harbor and the spikes and that. I personally would feel with all the RVs that park there on Capistrano from Highway 1 going in towards Mezzaluna and that area, I think that that'd be a better place to look for violators.
Well, actually, can I
Yeah,
respond to that? So as part of the work that I've done with Surfrider and along with the Resource Conservation District, we've mapped out with a lot of help from the RCD and also with the Sewer Authority. That whole area has been mapped out, the storm drains. So there's basically two drain systems. One is the storm drains and the other is the sewer drains, and they're supposed to be independent. With respect to the area of the lot that we're talking about, we know where that plumbing comes from. And Surfrider's been testing the water at the outfall at Capistrano. And we also know where water comes into the storm drains. And where the RVs are, they're not dumping into the street and into the storm drains. That could go into the creek, which is, there's a
I
creek
mean,
on
for
the...
this property, not the other one that Tom's
Yeah.
alluding to.
We know where we've just completed a study that we'll make public later, but we know where the major inputs are, and there's also groundwater that has some influence in there. So the RVs that could potentially pollute, which are on the north side of the Capistrano outfall, that creek there is Denniston Creek, and it comes out in the harbor north of Capistrano, so that is not related to this at all. And we know for a fact that we've gotten spikes from sewage dumped into the Capistrano outfall in that lot.
Okay.
Those are just numbers that we have.
Okay, any other comment, Tom? Nance? Debbie, can you just please read the motion one more time, and then we'll take a vote?
I have the second one, I haven't heard the
The
first
second one,
Mhm.
the one that, the new one that Tom did, yes.
Authorize the district manager to cease further operation of the Pillar Point Harbor Recreational Vehicle Park effective March 1st, 2020, and issue notice to vacate to each of the current owners of recreational vehicles currently occupying Pillar Point Harbor in El Dorado, California. Further, the general manager is authorized to take action to seek and obtain all necessary permits for temporary storage of crab pots and related fishing gear during the crab fishing season in parking lot C2 on board Pillar Point Harbor. And to authorize the general manager to seek a CDP to resume the Pillar Point Harbor Recreational Vehicle Park on board Pillar Point Harbor. Authorize the general manager to take action to seek and obtain all necessary permits to reestablish the Pillar Point Harbor Recreational Vehicle Park on board Pillar Point Harbor.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further discussion, we'll do a roll call. Any further roll call? Roll call, please, Debbie.
President Chancarelli,
Aye.
Commissioner Riley,
Aye.
Commissioner Rennes,
No?
Commissioner Mateusz.
Aye.
Right, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to the consent calendar, since then item 16 is the election of officers, and Ed took this off of consent during the current.
Number 7.
Item 7, yeah, consent item 7, which is the
Okay.
monthly capital projects updates.
Okay, this is again for our viewership. I just wanted to point out that in spite of a lot of the bureaucracy that we run through on a day-to-day basis at the harbor and in our commission meetings, we have 16 ongoing capital improvement projects. 16. looks like we're going to attempt to add another one with the parking lot RV. I just wanted to point that out to folks, that there's a lot going on in the harbor. We've got some, and I'll just highlight a few of them. You walk down to the harbor right now, you'll see that the Pillar Point Harbor Fishing Pier, that's the little pier that's off to the kind of the northwest side of the harbor, is being refurbished. So a project that I'm really pleased that the board's approved over the last year is the West Trail Shoreline Project. That's protecting the west trail that leads out to Mavericks. We're not going to put a rock wall there. We're going to put what's known as a living levee. It'll be used with some sand replenishment. When it's all done, you'll see native habitat restoration, and you will see replenished beach. Also a pilot project that if it works, we may be able to use it towards some other beach replenishment and habitat restoration in the harbor. So I'm really proud of the district for doing that. And there are plenty more. They're in the board packet, but I just wanted to point that out, folks, that there are 16 different capital improvement projects that are happening right now. Okay.
Thank you. I'll just make a comment and just thank the staff for all of their hard work on this. And Ed points out correctly that there are a lot of projects, and it's been over, at least since I've been on this board since 2015, and a lot of work. And it's going to continue to be a lot of work. So thank you for keeping up such great work and at good speed, hopefully. Any other comment? Okay, so this is basically just to receive the
Yeah, this information.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're on to item 16, which is the calendar year 2020 board organization election of officers. So, Jim, do you have any comments? This is your book.
This is my staff report. Yes, as normally, the first meeting of the year, the commission is elected to elect new board officers. And so I prepared different motions for the different positions of president, vice president, board secretary, and treasurer, and then also the alternate to the lab code board.
Okay, so I'll open it up for nominations for board president. I would like to nominate Commissioner Nancy Ryring to be the board president for calendar year 2020.
Second.
Okay, any other nominations? We'll vote on the first one. Roll call, please, for Nancy Ryring to be the board president for calendar year 2020.
Commissioner Mateusz?
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz?
No.
President Chancarelli?
Aye.
Sorry. Commissioner Ryder?
I vote for myself?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, that motion carries. Congratulations, Nancy.
Thank you.
Now for board vice president. Are there any nominations for board vice president?
Nominate Virginia Chan Crawley.
Are there any other nominations?
We
You don't need a
these?
second this. Okay, we'll take a vote then. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ryder?
Yes.
President Chancarelli?
Aye.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Commissioner Lorenz?
No.
Commissioner Mateusz?
Aye.
That motion carries. So now for a motion for board secretary for the calendar year 2020.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Chancarelli to serve as secretary of the board commissioners.
Okay. I'll take a vote then. Debbie, roll call, please.
Commissioner Lorenz?
Yes.
Commissioner Mateusz?
Aye.
Commissioner Chancarelli?
Aye.
President Ryder?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. And then now for board treasurer, any nominations? I'd like to nominate our current treasurer, Tom Mateusz, Commissioner Mateusz. Can you take a vote, please?
President Ryder?
Aye.
President Ryder.
Commissioner Chancarelli?
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz?
Aye.
Commissioner Mateusz?
Aye.
Okay, and then the alternate to LAFCO, who I think you're the current alternate to LAFCO, right?
I didn't know that I was. Am I?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll nominate you to continue to be the alternate. The alternate for,
We need,
It needs-
I mean, because she goes to,
she's the primary, we needed an alternate.
oh, an okay,
In
sorry.
case she cannot attend.
Okay. Any nominations?
Anybody interested?
I'll do it if no one's interested.
Okay, I nominate Commissioner Shane Crowley to serve as alternate in the President's absence to the LAFCO Independent Special District Selection Committee. Oh, yes, okay, I see how this works.
Okay. A vote, roll call, please.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Aye.
Commissioner Mateusz,
Aye.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Aye.
President Riley.
Aye.
So that motion carries. Congratulations, Nancy. And we'll go to item 17, which is to appoint the ad hoc and standing committees, which would be done by the new president.
So I would like to do this at the February meeting, if that's all right?
Yeah, if I can just,
Yes,
just
staff
a staff report on that, it's,
Yeah,
with that, our district policy 3.0 at the first meeting after elections. So that would be the February meeting, officers and the appointment of the president at the calendar of the year. The president will appoint 2 commissioners to each standing and ad hoc committee. So if you want to wait till February to do that, that would be in line with our policy.
great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, right now, I guess we'll move to the activity report. I mean, if you want to read them, or if there's a motion to adjourn, I'll to entertain that as well, because we got them in our packet, unless, Jim, there's something you would like to highlight, and Don as well.
From my perspective, it's been a fantastic first month. I think there's a lot of great things going on, and I concur with everybody. The staff here is remarkable in what they do. And just one more time, to mention the rescues over the holiday season, there's 3 people alive and back with their families today because of the work and the bravery of our people. And that's just an amazing feeling, being the general manager of this district and to be able to work with the people involved with those rescues. So, great job for them and the families, which we say. Other than that, I've been doing a lot of meetings with people and checking in with people and learning the ropes around the area. Nothing ever significant.
Thank you. John?
Occupancy of both Pillow Point Harbor and Oyster Point Marina still remains pretty much what it was last month. Close to 100% at Pillow Point Harbor and close to 80% at Oyster Point. Teams at both facilities are doing an excellent job, as always. As the new general manager, Jim Pruitt, just stated, their professionalism and their life-saving activities, as they say, it's just business as usual. These were extraordinary incidents that it's great that we recognize, but staff do respond to emergencies quite frequently, which all of which could end tragically should we not respond as quickly as we do. I would like to recognize Chris Tibby, our new harbor master at Pillar Point Harbor. He was introduced at our last meeting. He's been doing an excellent job there, and he also has been already deep into working to address some of the more challenging boats at the harbors that that have been severely neglected or are a danger to our environment. Has talked with some of the owners in a very tactful, professional manner, and been able to work with them. We don't work against people; we work with them to help them with their challenges. One of our most challenging boats that very, very poor condition, that the bilge pump constantly going, speeding over regretfully, as every time a bilge pump kicks on, it's a pump that pumps water out of the bottom of a vessel, which is mixed with oils. Every time that automatic flow switch activates and activates the pump, it pumps over nasty water into our harbor. So getting those boats out of the water as quickly as possible is very important. And Chris has just assisted in that by working closely with the owners of several of these boats. And fortunately, the board's just approved our acceptance of the DBW grant, which will actually pay for the removal of these vessels. Jim Merlot did in fact work closely with Kenya and DBW in making that that $150,000 come available, as Commissioner Lorenz has said. I'd like to also recognize real quick Kerry in my activity report. I recognized him for the great work that he, as our training officer, does on a day-to-day basis, but also what he and Dante Madrigal, our assistant harbor master at Pillar Point, recently in their assistance and training and being able to show school children what we do at Pillar Point Harbor, and our staff at Oyster Point Marina does the same with local school children as well. Actually go to the local schools. So we've got, as we said earlier, we've got great staff and everything's going quite smoothly.
Thank you. Administration, Julie, anything?
Yeah,
You had a great.
administration team is a wonderful staff. They're so very supportive of all of the operations staff, the general manager and myself. Betty, who was recognized this evening, she's done a fantastic job doing, coordinating all of our recruitments. We have 3 interviews days set up next week, 1 for Deputy Harbor Masters, 1 for a planner analyst position, and the 3rd one for Debbie's replacement. She's coordinating all of that. She was out testing with the Deputy Harbor Masters today. And she really keeps that whole HR process moving. Lizzie, who is our newest member of our staff, she's been instrumental in coordinating the changeover of our informational technology company from Caspian to Think Connected, and that's been a lot of work for her. She's also doing very well in supporting our social media program, amongst other things. We do have a SDRMA auditor coming in to look at all of our safety processes next week, and so she's been working with operations staff and filling out questionnaire for SDRMA on that. Boomer, we finished our audit months earlier this year, so him and his staff are really doing well. Melody and Katie and Kenya and Lori, who's very instrumental in putting not only, proofing all of these agenda packets that are here in front of you, but also helping with RFP processes and all the PRA requests that are coming down the line. We are working towards our new ERP system that should go out, a request for qualification should go out sometime next week, so that's just a little review.
Thank you, thanks so much. Okay, well, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Okay. Meeting is adjourned at 8:13.